My sister Alana stood at the front of the ballroom, 7 months pregnant and glowing under the chandelier light. One hand rested on her rounded belly, the other held a sparkling cider flute like it was fine champagne. Her diamond ring caught the light as she raised her glass for a toast. Then she turned toward me, that smile she'd perfected since childhood curling across her lips, sweet to everyone else, but sharp enough to cut me in two. "Well," she said, her voice carrying across the room, "at least my baby will have a father." The crowd erupted in applause. 40 guests clapped like she'd just announced a cure for cancer, instead of taking a direct shot at me and my son. My mother, Evelyn, stood to her feet, nodding in approval as if Alana had just delivered a motivational speech instead of a dagger to her sister's chest. Beside me, my 11-year-old son Liam slipped his hand into mine under the tablecloth. His palm was clammy, trembling not with fear, but with something deeper, sharper, that I couldn't yet name. He sat quietly, but his eyes, those eyes had already shifted. He wasn't going to stay silent for long. And what happened next, none of them saw coming. My son, the boy they'd written off as another statistic from a broken home, was about to rip their perfect little world apart with one truth they couldn't bury under pink balloons and polite claps. My name is Marissa. I'm 36 years old, and for the last 3 years, I've raised Liam on my own. Not because I wanted to, not at first, but because his father made choices that burned our life to the ground. Grant was charming when I met him, the kind of man who could talk his way into any room, out of any problem. But charm only lasts so long when you're drowning in lies. By the time I found out about the gambling, the hidden accounts, the affairs, it was too late. Our savings were gone, and so was the version of him I once loved. I left with nothing but my son and the determination to rebuild. I've been working as an account manager at a mid-sized marketing firm downtown ever since, juggling projects by day and homework help by night. It's not glamorous, but it's honest. It's ours. Liam is the reason I wake up every morning and keep fighting. He's smart, too smart sometimes. His teachers call him gifted. He devours books like Oxygen, asks questions that stop me in my tracks, and notices things no one else sees. His counselor says he's remarkably resilient. My family calls him unfortunate, because in their eyes, a boy without a father is a half-formed shadow, a broken promise, a reminder that his mother failed. And Alana, she's always been the opposite of me. At 33, she's the golden child, the one with the picture-perfect life. She married Thomas right after grad school in a wedding so extravagant it made headlines in the local paper. They bought a renovated colonial in the suburbs, complete with a wraparound porch and a golden retriever. Every holiday card looks like a catalog spread, matching sweaters, glowing smiles, perfectly staged happiness. On Instagram, she's the woman people envy. Designer handbags, spa weekends, her husband beaming at her like she's the prize he worked his whole life to win. Thomas owns a network of law firms across the state, and he never lets anyone forget it. He's the type who calls every man champ and every woman darlin', as if he's doing them a favor. He talks about hard work and discipline, but his eyes always look like they're calculating. Even when he calls me sis, it lands with a smirk that makes my skin crawl. And then there's my mother. Evelyn, at 59, has perfected the art of appearances. She's never forgiven me for my divorce. In her world, a woman's worth is tied directly to the man standing beside her. I've heard her tell her bridge club that she has 2 daughters, one married to a successful attorney and the other one. That's me, the other one. My father, Harold, is 62 and believes in peace at all costs. His newspaper, his golf, and his silence are the walls he hides behind. He taught me how to change the oil in a car, but never how to push back when the people you love cut you down. This baby shower was supposed to be Alana's crowning achievement. A flawless performance of wealth and happiness staged for her adoring audience. And the Rosemont Hotel ballroom looked like it had been ripped straight from Pinterest. Rose gold everything, elaborate centerpieces with floating candles, a candy bar styled to match the color theme, and a cake so extravagant it could have been a wedding dress. Every guest had been carefully curated. Every detail screamed perfection. But perfect doesn't always mean real. And Liam, my quiet, watchful son, knew that better than anyone in the room. I should have known the day was doomed when Mom called me 3 separate times that morning. "Marissa," she said on the first call, as I poured cereal into Liam's bowl, "please don't make today about you." The second came as I was trying to fix my hair. "Wear something respectable. No black. This isn't a funeral." By the third, I was already buttoning Liam's good shirt, the one without the faint ketchup stain, and my patience was gone. "Marissa," Mom's voice sharpened through the speaker. "This is Alana's day. Just smile, give your gift, and try to blend in." Blend in. That was always my role, wasn't it? Fade into the background while Alana took the spotlight. Don't complain. Don't disrupt. Don't remind anyone that my life was the family's cautionary tale. But Liam? He wasn't built to blend in. Not that day. Not ever again. The baby shower was exactly what I expected, over the top, loud, and designed less to celebrate the baby than to showcase my sister's so-called perfect life. A balloon arch in rose gold and ivory towered over the entrance like a wedding display. Every table had centerpieces with fresh peonies and candles that spelled out "Blessed Mama." A catered brunch buffet stretched across the back wall with omelet stations and miniature champagne bottles tied with pink ribbons. I felt underdressed in my best Target dress, surrounded by women dripping in designer labels, but I told myself it didn't matter. I was here for Harper. I was here because family was supposed to show up, even when it hurt. And oh, it hurt. Mom was beaming at Harper like she'd just won a Nobel Prize for getting pregnant. She fluttered around the room, making introductions to Harper's friends from her yoga studio, her book club, her charity board. "This is my daughter Harper," she announced proudly. "And this is my other daughter, Claire. She's raising her son all on her own. Bless her heart." The way she said it, with that syrupy pity, made me want to disappear into the nearest bathroom stall. Liam squeezed my hand under the table. His quiet strength was the only thing keeping me from walking out. I saw the way some of the women glanced at me, then leaned to whisper behind their manicured hands. "Single mother. No husband. No ring." They didn't need to say it out loud. I'd lived with that judgment for years. And then Harper struck. She waited until the gifts were being opened, the cameras flashing, the whole room focused on her. She held up a tiny pair of designer baby sneakers with gold trim and giggled like she was starring in a commercial. "At least my baby will have a father," she said, smiling directly at me. The words sliced through me like glass. She didn't even bother to lower her voice. She wanted everyone to hear. The room rippled with awkward laughter, some women looking down at their plates, others smirking as though Harper had just delivered the line of the day. Mom didn't scold her. She didn't even frown. Instead, she gave me a pointed look, the kind that said, "See, this is what happens when you make poor choices." My cheeks burned and my throat tightened, but I refused to give Harper the satisfaction of seeing me cry. I kept my smile plastered on, though my hands trembled so badly I almost dropped my coffee cup. But Liam, my sweet, observant Liam, he noticed everything. His little jaw tightened. His eyes darted between Harper and me, confusion mixing with anger. He leaned closer and whispered, "Why would she say that, Mom?" I didn't answer. What could I say? That cruelty was second nature to some people. That family could wound deeper than strangers ever could. I just squeezed his knee under the table and prayed the moment would pass. But it didn't. Harper kept going. She unwrapped a silver rattle and gushed, "Oh, Michael will love this. He's already practicing being the best dad. You should see how he talks to the baby every night. Some men are just born fathers." Her eyes flicked to me again, deliberate, sharp, twisting the knife. It makes me so grateful I married a man who knows the meaning of responsibility. The women around her cooed and clapped. Michael, her husband, sat there in his tailored suit, smiling that politician's smile he always wore, like he was running for mayor instead of attending his wife's baby shower. He gave Harper a kiss on the cheek, and the room melted into applause. I wanted to scream. Responsibility? This man who barely looked me in the eye at family dinners? This man who was always mysteriously working late when Harper needed him? But I bit my tongue until it bled, because no matter what I suspected about Michael, I had no proof. And in this family, without proof, I was just the bitter single mom who couldn't be happy for her sister. The rest of the shower blurred together. Games I didn't want to play, photos I didn't want to be in, cake I couldn't taste. I just kept my arm around Liam, my anchor in a storm of fake smiles and sharper words. When it was finally over, I was helping gather tissue paper and wrapping scraps when Liam tugged at my sleeve. His face was pale, his voice low but steady. "Mom," he said, glancing toward Michael across the room, "I think Aunt Harper is wrong." I crouched to meet his eyes. "About what, sweetheart?" He hesitated, glancing around the room, then leaned closer, whispering so only I could hear. "About Uncle Michael being the perfect dad. I know something. Something I saw." My heart stopped. His tone wasn't childish exaggeration. It was serious, certain. He had that look he got when he knew his science homework was right even before the teacher graded it. I tried to swallow the lump in my throat. "What do you mean, Liam?" I asked softly. Before he could answer, Mom called out, "Claire, don't just sit there. Help your sister load the gifts into the car." The moment was lost, but not forgotten. Liam's words echoed in my chest like a warning bell. I know something. I didn't realize then just how much he knew, or how those few words would shatter the illusion of Harper's perfect life in front of everyone. Because when Liam finally spoke the truth, there would be no taking it back. The garden room at the Fairmont was drowning in pastel pink. Everywhere you looked, there were satin bows, gold-rimmed champagne flutes, and perfectly arranged floral centerpieces that probably cost more than my rent. Harper thrived in that kind of environment, the center of attention, floating from table to table, one hand on her belly, the other flashing her diamond ring like it was part of the decorations. Michael never strayed more than a few feet from her side, shaking hands with his business partners, laughing that practiced laugh he always used when he wanted to sound more successful than he was. I sat in the corner, nursing a lukewarm glass of water, because apparently ordering wine for myself would have been inappropriate at a baby shower. I could feel the glances. Women from Harper's book club whispering into their phones, old neighbors from our childhood sneaking pity looks my way, like I was some tragic cautionary tale they kept around for entertainment. Liam sat beside me, his sneakers swinging off the chair, his expression unreadable as he picked at the frosting of a cupcake he hadn't bothered to eat. Every time Harper's voice rose above the hum of the room, I tensed. She was in rare form, telling everyone how grateful she was for Michael, how hard he worked to provide for their perfect little family, how lucky her baby was to have such a devoted father. And then she would look at me, every single time, just long enough for the implication to sting. My son didn't have that. My son's life was incomplete. I wanted to stand up, to scream at her, to remind her that perfection was always a fragile mask. But I didn't. I'd learned to survive humiliation by swallowing it whole. Liam had been watching, observing. His eyes never left Michael, the way a hawk watches a mouse. "Mom," Liam whispered, tugging at my sleeve. "She shouldn't say that stuff." My chest tightened. "I know, baby. Just let it go. Today's about her." But he shook his head. "No. She thinks she knows everything. She doesn't know what I know." Before I could process what he meant, Harper clinked her glass with a spoon. The room hushed. She stood at the center, glowing in her designer maternity dress, Michael's arm draped around her like they were a glossy magazine spread. "I just want to thank everyone for being here to celebrate this blessing," Harper said, her voice syrupy sweet. "Michael and I couldn't be more excited to welcome our baby into the world. He's going to grow up with everything a child could want: a beautiful home, a strong marriage to look up to, and most importantly, a father who will always be there for him." Her smile widened as she scanned the room, pausing on me for just a second too long. "Not every child is so lucky." A ripple of laughter moved through the guests. The kind of polite, uncomfortable laughter people force when they don't know what else to do. My throat burned. My hands clenched under the table. But before I could stand, before I could defend myself, a small voice cut through the room. "That's not true," Liam said. The laughter stopped. My heart slammed into my ribs. Every head turned toward my son. His little voice wasn't loud, but it carried in the stunned silence. Harper blinked, confusion flickering across her perfect face. "Excuse me." Liam slid off his chair, standing straighter than I'd ever seen him. His eyes didn't leave Michael. "You shouldn't say her baby is lucky just because he has a dad. Having a dad doesn't mean what you think it means." Michael stiffened, his jaw tightening, that fake grin plastered on his face. "Buddy," he said lightly, trying to laugh it off. "You're right. Every kid's lucky in their own way." But Liam didn't sit down. He didn't smile. He didn't back away. "I know things," he said simply, his voice calm but steady. "Things you wouldn't want anyone here to know." The room froze. Harper's laugh wavered, brittle at the edges. "What kind of things?" she asked, still trying to play it off as childlike nonsense, but her tone had shifted. I could feel every eye in the room swinging between Liam, Michael, and Harper. My stomach dropped, a cold panic settling over me. "Liam," I whispered urgently, "sit down." But he didn't. He looked up at me, then back at them. "I can't," he said. "It's not right to keep secrets that hurt people." Michael stepped forward, his voice too loud, too cheerful. "Kids say the darndest things, huh? Always making up stories." "He's just joking, aren't you, champ?" But Liam shook his head, his hands clenched into fists at his sides. His next words sliced through the room like a knife. "I'm not joking. I know about the other house." The air snapped. You could almost hear it, the collective gasp, the sharp intake of breath from 50 different mouths at once. Harper's smile evaporated. Michael's face drained of color. The room that had moments before been filled with polite laughter was now so quiet you could hear the clinking of ice melting in abandoned glasses. "What house?" Harper asked, her voice a dangerous whisper. Liam's gaze never wavered. "The one in Riverside." And just like that, the baby shower turned into something else entirely. Not a celebration, not a family gathering, but the beginning of an unmasking no one in that room would ever forget. I watched Michael's face lose every ounce of color. His hand froze mid-shake with some banker friend of Harper's. For once, the polished real estate mogul mask cracked, showing something raw and ugly underneath. He tried to laugh, his voice cracking as he stammered, "What are you talking about, buddy?" That fake word, buddy, sounded desperate. But Liam didn't laugh. He didn't even smile. My boy pulled out his phone, the one he only used for emergencies. He held it up like evidence in a courtroom, calm and matter-of-fact. His voice was steady, sharp. "You said we were stopping at your office that day, but we didn't. You drove us to a blue house with a broken fence. A woman named Brianna opened the door. She's a nurse. She had a little girl with her, and she called you daddy." The entire room went silent. You could hear the fizz of champagne dying in half-filled glasses. Harper's perfect pink and gold bubble froze midair. "That's ridiculous." Michael barked, but his voice was thin. "He's a kid, kids make things up." But Liam kept going, voice clear, words cutting sharper than any adult in the room. "She had your eyes. Green, with a brown fleck in the left one. She wore frozen pajamas and light-up sneakers. You picked her up and spun her around. You gave Brianna an envelope of cash and told me this was a secret. You said men have responsibilities they don't talk about." Harper's smile shattered. "Michael," she whispered. Even in that quiet tone, her voice cut like a scream. Michael moved toward her, but she stepped back, hand clutching her belly. "You've been visiting them every Tuesday," Liam continued, his voice calm but merciless. "Every time you told Aunt Harper you were meeting investors, you were really there. Brianna called you her daughter's father. The girl's name is Everly. She's 4. She asked when you were moving in with them full-time." Lies. Michael's mother, Vivian, shot up, voice shrill. "This child is lying. He's jealous, making things up." Liam tilted the phone toward her. "You always told me smart people keep records, Grandma. I have pictures." He swiped, showing the room photo after photo. Michael pushing a little girl on a swing. Michael wearing an apron that said "World's Best Dad" at a backyard grill. Michael holding Brianna's hand on the porch of that blue house. Every image stripped away his denials. Harper snatched the phone, her face shifting from denial to recognition to something volcanic. "For years." Her voice cracked like glass. She's 4. We've been married for 6 years. Michael tried to grab her arm, babbling, "Baby, let me explain." But Harper ripped free, her rage finally bursting. "Explain? Explain what? That my husband has another child? That our life, is a lie." She hurled a crystal vase at him. He ducked, the crash echoing like thunder as water and roses exploded across the floor. The country club's perfect garden room descended into chaos. Guests backed toward the doors. Harper's friends whispered frantically. The staff froze, unsure whether to clean or flee. Vivian clutched her pearls, her voice rising like a banshee. "This isn't true, Michael. Tell them." But everyone already knew. The pictures said more than he ever could. Harper collapsed into a chair, clutching her stomach, sobs tearing through her. Michael reached out again, but she screamed, "Stay away from me." The echo of her voice hung heavy over the ruined baby shower. The garden room was wreckage, pink and gold balloons clinging to corners, the gift table reduced to rubble, champagne flutes tipped over like casualties on a battlefield. Harper had locked herself in the bathroom, sobs echoing through the walls, while Michael paced like a caged animal outside the exit doors. His once slick image was gone, hair messy, tie loosened, shirt damp with sweat. Every inch of him screamed desperation. The guests had been ushered out, but not before whispers slithered through the hall like smoke. Phones had recorded enough. By tomorrow morning, the whole town would know about Michael Harrison's double life. "Get out," Harper had screamed earlier, her voice cracking like thunder. Now the silence that followed was louder than any storm. Michael tried one last time, hands raised, voice breaking. "Think about the baby, Harper. Our son, please, don't do this." Inside the bathroom, Harper's muffled voice came sharp through tears. "You mean like you thought about Cadence?" Then came a laugh, jagged, broken, the sound of a woman who had just watched her whole life dissolve in front of 40 witnesses. "At least now my baby has something in common with hers. A father who's a liar." I stood near the back, my arm protectively around Liam. My mother finally turned to us, her face pale, fanning herself with a crumpled baby shower program. "Did you know?" she demanded, eyes stabbing into me. "Did you put Liam up to this? Did you make him ruin her day?" Liam stiffened beside me, but before he could answer, I stepped forward. "No, Mom. Unlike some people, I don't teach my child to keep secrets that destroy families." He told the truth. That's more than most of us can say. She swung her gaze toward Liam, disbelief and anger battling on her face. "How could you do this to your aunt? How could you hurt her like this?" That's when Liam straightened his shoulders, his young voice clear. "Uncle Michael told me not to tell because it would hurt Aunt Harper. But Aunt Harper was already hurting Mom. You were hurting her too, Grandma. At least when Dad left, he just left. He didn't pretend to be perfect while lying the whole time." The words landed like stones, sharp and undeniable. My mother's lips trembled, but she said nothing. For the first time in years, she had no defense. 2 weeks later, Harper moved back in with our parents, belly heavy with the baby she'd soon deliver. The divorce papers followed a month later. Michael tried to fight it, tried to salvage his business reputation, his family, anything. But Harper's lawyer was ruthless, and the evidence Liam had documented left no wiggle room. Judges don't look kindly on men who live double lives for 4 years. And as if that wasn't enough, Michael's other family finally stepped out of the shadows. Brittany, the nurse with brown hair and exhausted eyes, came forward. She'd been raising Cadence mostly alone, clinging to Michael's promises that he was separated, that he just needed more time before making their family official. She had believed him. And she'd paid for that belief in loneliness and struggle. The town buzzed with gossip for months. That baby shower became a legend. People whispered about it in the grocery store aisles, at the school pickup line, even in church pews. My son, the boy who exposed the truth, became almost mythic in their retellings. But for me, it wasn't about legend. It was about survival, about honesty. About learning that my son's courage outshone every adult in that country club that day. Family dinners look different now. For one thing, we actually have them. Harper no longer brags about her perfect life. Instead, she sits beside me, asking for advice on raising a child alone. She laughs less, but when she does, it's real. Raw. Human. My mother doesn't make sly comments anymore about bad choices or broken homes. She's quieter now. Humbled. Judgment has a way of circling back like a boomerang. And Liam? He and I have grown even closer. That night after the baby shower, he crawled into bed while I tucked him in something he usually claimed he was too old for. His voice was small in the dark when he asked, "Mom, did I do the right thing?" I smoothed his hair back, heart heavy and proud all at once. "You stood up for us," I told him. "You showed them that being a single-parent family doesn't make us less. It makes us real. It makes us strong." He nodded, then whispered words I'll never forget. Uncle Michael had a father growing up. Dad had a father too, but they both turned into liars. Maybe having a dad isn't the important part. Maybe having someone who teaches you to tell the truth is what matters. Tears stung my eyes as I kissed his forehead. Out of the mouths of children, sometimes the greatest wisdom. 2 months later, Harper gave birth to a beautiful baby boy. She named him Oliver. I was in the delivery room, holding her hand, being the sister she finally let me be. And despite everything that had happened, the betrayal, the humiliation, the wreckage of her dream, she called me the next morning from the hospital. "I'm sorry," she whispered, voice raw with exhaustion and regret. "For everything. For all those years I thought I had it figured out. I thought my life was perfect, and yours was the cautionary tale. I was wrong." I smiled through tears. None of us have it figured out. But Oliver has something better than a perfect family story. He has the truth. He has authenticity. That's worth more than any lie wrapped in balloons and ribbons. Today, Oliver and Liam are inseparable. My son is the protective older cousin, teaching Oliver about planets, dinosaurs, and how to build blanket forts strong enough to withstand an invasion. He's showing Oliver that families come in all shapes and sizes, and that love isn't measured by appearances, but by who shows up with honesty and stays with integrity. And if you ask me, that's the real inheritance we pass on to our children. Not perfection, not the image of a flawless family, but truth and strength, and the courage to stand tall when lies come crashing down. If this story touched you, if you've ever been judged for not fitting the picture-perfect mold, please share this video. Leave a comment about your own experience with family judgment or the unexpected places where you found strength. And don't forget to subscribe for more stories of real families, real struggles, and the powerful ways truth finds its voice.